It is all about saviors and how to counter them right now, which is really interesting. We're going to go into a lot of this stuff, but I mean, we have Hector, and you guys know what he brings. Let's just jump right into it and talk about Leyla first, though. And we have new swirls, so you know I had to look at that. I think that's fantastic. It's one of my favorites that I've seen. So, Rearmed Hero Leyla. This is interesting, and she always brings an interesting play style with her, and this is no exception. Now, there are some counters to her that already exist, so I'm a little worried about that, but let's go into this. Arcane Sly Knife, accelerate special trigger, we have Sling. Start of combat if unit's HP is greater than 25%, grants bonus to attack, speed, defense, res, equals 25% of foe's attack, max of 14, you normally just consider that 14. Neutralizes foes' bonuses to speed and defense, always good. Deals damage equals 15% of unit's attack. Reduces damage from foes' first attack by 7. And then we have, and grants special cooldown count -1 to unit before unit's first attack during combat. This is a little sleepy. The weapon itself, it's not bad. It just we've seen a couple of them that have really jumped off the page. In particular, I'm thinking of the Theotzi's arcane weapon, which was better. And this is just okay. You can tell by the text size. Like, this is, again, they are really scared of bringing daggers back into prominence for some reason, and I'm never sure why. But the true damage is very nice, and this does give some nice stats as well. Although 14 is just kind of standard at this point, I guess. But this is okay. Lethality is, it's the best special that you can have on a dagger unit, and this unit has a lot of ways to get that cooldown down. Attack speed finish 4, you're going to be replacing that if this is your favorite unit, so just that is on there, and yeah, they give that out like candy. Dark Perfume is where things get really interesting, though. At start of turn, grant special cooldown count -1 to unit, inflicts undefended and flash on closest foes through their next action, and inflict status preventing counterattacks on foes within 2 spaces of those foes. So this is really interesting, and I want you to think about what's going on in the wonderful world of Dark Season right now, with Larother just absolutely demolishing things and making it very, very hard to tank. You can do it, it's very annoying. This is a unit that can help you out quite a bit in Light Season by helping your player phase units and your hit and run units not have to deal with the insanely bulky saviors that we have right now. So just keep that in mind. This is an interesting unit, and it keeps on getting interesting. So we'll finish out Dark Perfume. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than 25%, inflicts attack, speed, defense -5 on foe, and deals damage equals 20% of unit speed, and neutralizes effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. So this is all about getting lethality off and hitting with as much true damage as possible, which you're going to need, frankly. This is not a unit that's going to be able to take out saviors, but again, because of what she does, that's not something that she absolutely needs. But I love that they have built in Disarm Trap into this. This is excellent. So I canceling the bolt and heavy trap effect. I'm not sure why they went all into this, but yeah. If unit ends movement on a space with a hex trap, reduces trap's trigger condition by 10 HP. That's also very nice. This is going to be one of those units that is not tip top of the meta, but is going to be a lot of fun, and people who know how to use her are going to get a lot of effect, much like the original Leyla. Then we have Lookout Force, which just goes perfectly with what she does. This is very much a callback to her original unit. Enables Canto 2. When Canto triggers, enables unit to use Distance Swap on ally. So this is basically, if a unit is within 2 spaces, they can change locations. Keep in mind that because this is triggered, this is very much in the Shadow Shift realm here, because, well, Canto Control will obliterate this, right? You won't be able to use Distance Swap. So keep that in mind, but if this unit goes in and hits, then they can Canto away and then swap and bring a unit further forward for them to attack more. Keep in mind this, if you're doing this with Felix, this does not count as a positional action. So it doesn't stop him from doing his multiple action thing. It's really neat. I like the way this unit plays. I love creativity, and this is a unit that really encourages that in a meta right now that feels very stale. This is something that feels new, and I'm a fan. So in her ranking, I've only got her tier 1, and the reason is, honestly, Freyr cleanses what she can do, so she's not going to be as usable in Astra season. And of course, when we're talking about things in in Summoner duels, in order to get rid of undefended, you just end your turn, and then you're free and clear. So there are already counterplays to her. So this is not a unit that is just the absolute greatest ever, but I'm telling you, this is going to be a unit that is a lot of fun to play with. Next we have Uther, and I can't believe they made him a demote. I'm a little surprised. I love the art. The art looks great, but I thought they were gonna make Uther, anyway, this is a neat unit. So we get him as a demote. We get another armor, which I don't remember the last time we got an armor as a demote, but none of this is just jumping off the page fantastic. We've talked about how Special Fighter 3 is now in the main pool. I love that. Perusal Axe Plus, if unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack defense +5 to unit during combat, and unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. I mean, you guys have seen what's been coming out lately. Like, this doesn't really cut it. But I mean, armors, because of Shield Fighter, are very usable right now. So you merge him up and there's a lot of fun things you can do with him. Shield Fighter is the great equalizer, and you do have to worry about a lot of things like Larother killing Savior and all that great thing. But this is still, if you're an Uther fan, I think you can build this unit up and use them. So keep that in mind. And we continue the armor palooza with Hector. We have another Hector, and he's all decked out in Ellawood regala, even has a sword. This is a fascinating unit, and I'm having a little trouble placing him. You notice he put down the Divine Vein Stone there, which is excellent, of course, versus AoEs. This is where things get interesting. We have Fellowship Blade, we have Slaying at start of player phase or enemy phase. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants defense res +6, Bulwark, and Null Panic to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. It's Bulwark that is interesting, and one of the big things right now is being able to use units like this as just an Omni tank. I'm thinking of Tamara. Tamara has Bulwark as well, and Tamara can block up a region and can have supports behind her because of that. Well, not only are you giving this unit Bulwark, but you're giving units around her Bulwark, which is very nice. So I just keep that in mind. This is a fascinating unit because of that. But if unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, inflicts penalty on foes, attack defense equals 20% of unit's defense at start of combat +6. That is a lot of daunts. This unit is probably going to have around 50 defense. That's 16 minus 16 at that rate, and I mean, there's a possibility to get more. Like, it's interesting whenever you see daunts like that. It's hard to really grasp how well they're going to do. I have a feeling this is going to be quite nice, though. Unit deals +X damage, and X equals highest total bonuses among unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit, excluding AoEs, and reduces damage from foes' attack by 50% of X. So that is flat DR, which again is very nice. It's really the only DR that works right now, which is why I'm saying it's so nice. But then we have and inflicts special cooldown charge -1 on foe per attack during combat. So we have Guard, which is very, very Hector of him. We have Armored Beacon, and then we have Oath of Ostia. And here's things that start to get kind of interesting. Grants HP +5, which is excellent. Like, that is already increasing bulk. After unit acts, or if defending an Aether raids, at start of enemy phase, applies Divine Vein Stone to unit space and spaces within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. So that's interesting. That is a fantastic counter for AoEs and also helps support the team as well. This is a sneaky good A skill, just like all of his A skills have always been. You'll notice no DC. Hold that thought. If foe initiates combat or foe's HP is greater than 78% at the start of combat, inflicts attack defense minus 10 on foe. So we've got additional daunts there. Grants special cooldown count minus 2 to unit before foe's first attack and reduces the percentage of foe's non-special. Reduce damage by X%, skills by 50%. So we have piercing, which is very important, and we have special jumping, which really helps with proccing Armored Beacon. I believe this also helps with Shield Fighter proccing and getting Aegis or Pavis off. So that is, you guys can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong there, but that is excellent if you don't have to use the Marth Seal, because Shield Fighter is the most powerful thing an armor can have right now. Let's move on though, and we have Wily Fighter 4. I've been excited about everything on this kit, and then we hit Wily Fighter 4, and I'm okay on this. If foe initiates combat or if unit's HP is greater than 25% at start of combat, inflicts attack minus 5 on foe. Again, more daunts. Deals plus X damage, X equals 20% of unit's defense, excluding area of effect specials, and reduces damage from foe's attack by X, excluding area of effect specials. So, again, lots of flat DR here. Unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack and neutralizes foe's bonuses during combat. So, we'll have to get this unit in. The question is always, is this better than Shield Fighter? There's an additional question, is this better than Slick Fighter? And I have a feeling that Slick Fighter is a little better than this, but I really need to get everything in and see. The thing with Shield Fighter is, and we've said it before, but if you're talking about survivability, Shield Fighter is better, period. But there is something to be said for being able to hit back. That is a big, big deal, and this unit has lots of true damage, lots of daunts, lots of flat DR, and we also have Twin Far Save, which is, again, excellent and gets extra stats and lots of other fantastic things. Like it works really well with Armored Beacon and has extra healing, and I mean, this is a very nice kit. I wonder about Wily Fighter and whether you're going to want to swap that out. The nice thing is, since this is an attuned unit, then you can have other things in there that you can give to this unit, and then you don't have to fear losing them, because then you can give them to somebody else. Then we have Distant Counter Echo, which is fantastic. I love this. Hold on real quick. This is equipable by anyone who is not ranged. So all melee types can equip Distant Counter Echo, which is fantastic. So that includes dragons and beasts as well. That's really, really fun. So I'm a fan of this. This is really nice. Again, Wily Fighter, by the way, is only armor, which we're not really surprised there. So, but I'm a fan of this unit. I think this unit is going to do fairly well. But the question is always, how well? I have this unit over Myrrh. I have him in tier 0 solidly. I think there's a possibility that he hops over Nagi. And the reason I'm a little hesitant there is Nagi has some very, very clear uses as an AoE resistor. That is a big deal because we have Sigurd, and Sigurd is in a lot of places right now. Hector has that, but only if the Divine Vein Stone goes off. So we're going to have to take a look at that and see how everything pans out. That is the range. I don't have him, Far Savior-wise, I don't have him over Fjorm. Fjorm just has too many things going for her right now. Keep in mind, we've talked a lot about speedy tanks, and speedy tanks are probably the unit that fades fastest in all the game. Fjorm so far has held ground, so we'll see how exactly that turns out, but in general, I'm very high on this unit, and I think this unit is going to be a ton of fun. And then we have Rune. We just talked about him, but he's absolutely adorable and just keeps losing his shoe. Like, get that boy some shoes that fit, please. I want to hear the story, but let's talk about this as a unit. You can see orders right there. So this unit is going to hit hard. There are a lot of things about this unit that are going to help out. I am Uther of Creation. You have Slaying. At start of player phase or enemy phase, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants empathy and orders to unit and allies within 2 spaces. So empathy grants bonus to units attack, speed, defense, res equals number of types of bonus effects, excluding stat bonuses and penalty effects, excluding stat penalties, active on player, team, and enemy team during combat. That was a mouthful, right? There is some debate over what this is. What I can tell you is it's a max of 7, and you're probably going to see 7 pretty regularly. 7 is not huge, but it is nice just as something extra. Like, that is just here, have 7 of everything. So as a freebie, that's fairly nice. Do remember, though, that we have things like Nurgle out there and Nina. And they just steal, sorry, not Nina, Tina. And they like to steal things. So I keep that in mind, but overall, that is a nice thing to have, and orders is always nice. It is an underrated thing just in general. If unit initiates combat, orders within 2 spaces of an ally, grants bonus to units, attack, speed, defense, res equals number of allies within 3 rows and 3 columns centered on unit times 3 plus 5, max of 14. We talked about it, 14 is just the way everything is now. So an Omni 14 there on top of the Omni 7. Neutralizes units' penalties, which is very nice. Although in a season with peony, it's not as nice, but is still good. Deals plus X damage, and X equals number of bonus effects active on unit and foe, excluding stat bonuses times 5. Max of 25, and that doesn't include AoEs. That is an enormous amount of true damage. That is just huge. And then neutralizes effects that inflict special cooldown charge minus X on you during combat. So you have null guard. Okay, so this is a supportive nuke, but the support isn't all that high. So mainly this is a nuke, and we are in a meta where you really need cleanup units. So not to discount what this unit has, I always worry about longevity with stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Let's move on. We have Flare and Slymere. Both of those are excellent, but you've seen them before. We have Font of Wisdom. At start of player phase or enemy phase, inflicts attack speed res minus 7 on foes that are within 2 spaces of another foe through their next action. So most of them. That is a huge range. The entire map, if you're within 2 spaces of a foe, then you get debuffed. Inflicts Omni minus 5 on foe, inflicts penalty on foes, attack speed res equals highest penalty on each stat between target and foes within 2 spaces of target. We talked about Daunts. This is just more of them. That is a ton on this unit. On top of the true damage, because we're about to get more. Deals damage equals 20% of units res. Reduces the percent of foes non-special reduced by 50% piercing. That excludes AoEs and reduces damage from foes' first attack by 7 during combat, and that includes brave weapons. So, again, lots of Daunts, lots of extra damage coming off of this unit. So that's fairly nice, but this is still, to me, this is still a cleanup unit. This is a very nice cleanup unit, but that's where we're at. Then we have Pulse Up Ploy, which is fantastic because, you get times Pulse, but then you also get Ploy and Exposure on foes. That's fantastic. Like I'm loving that. That is they're just cramming so much in, and I'm amazed that they crammed that much into a skill that's like this big. That is impressive to say the least. So, you know what you're asking, right? Where does this unit rank? And
But I'm begging you.
We talked about it a little bit in the Faye channel reaction, but I am I'm not huge on Rallying Call. The problem is it's turn 3, and most of the Aether Raid's action you're going to see is in turn 1 and 2. Like that's generally where the stuff happens. So essentially your Rallying Call for this is going to be, for offense, is just going to be a cleanup unit, which I'm not going to knock. I mean, that's pretty fantastic. And there are definitely ways that you can kind of stall, and so you can have a ton of Gale Force potential if you can wait all the way till turn 3. Most defenses right now are really trying hard to keep you from doing that, though. So just keep that in mind. But, I mean, Rallying Call giving you an extra action on top of what's going on. I mean, they are screaming for you to try and wait out your Gale Force stuff until that turn. That alone makes this unit really interesting, but you can see I only have him in tier 1, and I guess the thing is, I'm not sure this unit really pushes the envelope, and I could be completely wrong. We were back and forth on the Discord between tier 0 and tier 1, but keep in mind, if he was in tier 0, it was going to be the end of tier 0. Like I don't see this unit as beneficial on every team, but I am patiently waiting for what the next light mythic is going to be to really take advantage of Rallying Cry. But again, we get so many actions out of our units right now that I'm not really having trouble with Gale Force in that way. And for tanking, normally that's going to happen on turn 1, so that's not really helping you there. Keep an eye out, though. I think this all changes a lot when we talk about Rallying Cry on defense. And that is a completely different thing to discuss, and we will get into that when it happens. But that is going to accelerate the clock quite a bit on folks who are trying to wait. Because if with this unit you get off a Rallying Cry, but also there's a Rallying Cry on defense, things get a little wonky. Keep that in mind and keep your ears open, because we've got a lot to experiment with. And also, I mean, this is a brand new thing. We have to try this out. We could get this into testing and find out that this unit is the most amazing thing and just blows everyone out of the water. My first impression is that is not the case, though. So just keep that in mind. If you're summoning for favors, this unit is adorable. Really, really is. I mean, you can see the little calic on the head. That's fantastic. But as far as competitive play, I think this is a neat toy. I don't think this is a core piece. So we'll be looking at this as we go on, though. If you're curious about more Mythic rankings, I have the entire list that I went over. It's 2.5 hours. It's incredibly long, but also it's bookmarked. So you can just jump right to the ones you want. I'm going to link that here. Members, you are amazing. Thank you for all you do. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.